Welcome to the Sacred Reclamation Podcast. Here we will be exploring how we can reclaim the sacredness of birth, life, death, and all the happenings in between. My name is Sydney Sands, and my intention with this podcast is to reclaim the art of storytelling. This is a space where we will practice allowing the simple act of telling our stories and listening to the stories of others to be medicine for our bodies and spirits. I invite you to keep an open mind and an open heart as you listen to these stories. Grab a cup of tea, maybe a little snack, and settle in for story time.
One of the things that came up from just that right now, and I think has been coming up from my meditation work and life's work, is being the channel of the earth, like 2 feet on the ground. I work in body work, and as you might know, like working with energy is very powerful, especially when you're working with another human body energy. And it's hard to not absorb that as a vessel, as like a container for that, which I don't want to be a container for that. I want to be a channel from the earth back to the person and the person back to the earth. And so that's my intention for today is, you know, being a vessel for my knowledge of my childhood and my storytelling, but also knowing that that is also a channel because all time is happening all at once. And my little self and my experiences thus far, as well as in the future, are all happening right now. And to really channel that grounded energy that allows a certain flow of intelligence from this vast consciousness that we all exist in. So, yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. That feels like such a potent reminder for me right now, just remembering that remembering to let things move through us and not feeling this pressure of having to hold it all.
Mhm.
I feel like I've been just feeling like at my capacity lately for all the things I'm holding, or almost like this, all the things I think that other people are asking me to hold for them. And so
Mhm.
you just speaking now is like, oh yeah, it feels heavy in the pressure because I'm not actually supposed to hold it. Like I can let it move through me and give it back to the earth, and oh, the earth can hold so much more. The earth can hold it all. And
And
yeah,
simultaneously has the answers.
yeah.
So it's nice, like 2 feet on the ground, channel, no containment, but a source of energy just in the alignment.
I love that. I also love what you said about time and everything happening now. Do you have anything to expand on that?
Yeah, I would say that my life's work right now is healing my inner child. And it's very relevant that she's been suppressed for a very long time. And with that suppression, she comes out so strong and so chaotic and almost like unhinged in certain moments that are, I guess, like they show up in a lot of what I feel are, I don't want to say irrelevant, but like reactionary systems that served me back then that no longer serve me now. But she is still hurt and she is still lacking trust and scared. And so her defense mechanism and her systems of protection that were useful, when I was ages, 5 to even like 18, living inside my home were relevant, in some ways or another. But now they're not relevant when they show up in my relationship and in my work ethic and just me driving a car and getting like easily like upset and like feeling like someone's out to get me. So noticing is the first step to healing. And I think what really soothes me is that she is alive just as much as I am alive in my adult self today. And speaking to her and giving her her needs and also validating her is what allows her to kind of blend and have the knowledge that I have of today and give her that knowledge that she might not have received or understood back then, but is still like alive within me, if that makes sense. And also helping navigate my future self, however I'll show up in 10, 20, 30 years from now. She'll still be there, but she might have the knowledge accumulation of what I'm absorbing on a daily basis through the present experience.
Yeah, I'm just holding on to that piece that you said earlier about time and everything happening right now. And like when we think about our old self as a child or our future self as an elder or us now. And yeah, it's just like kind of the reorientation around like this is all happening now.
Hmm.
And I feel like it's really powerful to, have these moments as adult women when your inner child does show up. And sometimes it's in really sweet ways, and then sometimes it is in this childish, quote unquote, childish way. And I feel like as adults, like we can kind of tend to be like, act like an adult. Like you're not a child. You need to act like an adult. But something about the timeline and putting that, like bringing that into the picture really softens and like makes space for understanding and compassion and remembering that like we react or act or move in the world in these ways, like for a reason. It's not out of spite. A message that I've been sitting with recently that was kind of delivered to me through a rattlesnake recently. I've had a few encounters with rattlesnakes the past few weeks, and it's just like been very, very potent. But I was just reflecting on the our relationship with as humans with rattlesnakes and the fear on both sides of like we both kind of approach each other with this fear of like what the other one might do. And so we're reacting with that of like at least here I've noticed that when someone sees a rattlesnake on their property, they think like you have to kill it
Mm.
before it bites you or their child or their animal or whatever. And after doing a little bit of research about the rattlesnake, like they're pretty like gentle, quiet creatures and very wise. They've been around for so, so, so long, so much longer than us. And they really do their best to like not be seen.
Hmm.
And they don't bite or like their venom isn't to be malicious or out of spite. Like it's they only that's like their last resort. And a lot of times the way that our relationship has evolved over all the years, like humans kind of have always killed them either for food or for protection. And so now we're both just doing the same to each other, like biting or killing or striking each other out of fear of like what the other one might do. And the message I just felt was like, what if we just like held the space or like opened up the space to really be in awe of like the rarity of the moment of us crossing paths and be like grateful for like how we can just be with each other and knowing that like we both kind of try not to be in the same place at the same time. But okay, here we are and what's here for us. And instead of just coming in with fear, like coming in with love and being like, wow, this is an ancient wise creature and like how special is this moment. And something about that like actually makes me go back to what you said about being with all of ourselves, like all in the now. In those moments where we do get a glimpse of our younger selves or our older selves or anywhere in between, like it's so special and not reacting with like, oh, I shouldn't act like a child, like scary,
Yeah.
that's bad, and just like having gratitude for, okay, what wisdom is here for me? And this is so special and it's not something that I'm conscious of all the time.
Yeah, like reasoning with the situation and honoring it and as a beauty, like what is this here to show me or to tell me, or what is this wisdom of experience from another time, experience but happening right now here to show me, and what is this wisdom here to carry? And similar to the rattlesnake, you know, what use is it when we show up with anger or fear? How do we react when we're in those states of mind? Are we connected, or are we up in, this reaction, this like fight or flight reactionary system that is not really our truth? And rattlesnakes feel the vibration of the earth and strictly do try to avoid human contact. But they are hibernationary um, reptiles, so they have to come out in the sun to absorb, and they are in line with nature. It's us that come in and say, I don't like that you're here right now and you could bite me. And I live on a mountain that has a lot of rattlesnakes in the summertime, and there's like everyone I've talked to, I have not seen one this summer, but everyone I've very few people that I've talked to have said, that they're just evil and they're out to get you. Like they're actually very sweet and they come out and they just sunbathe and enjoy. And if they hear you, they want to leave, and they're not just like hunting your dog.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a big lesson right now of just um, I love when little Mackenzie comes out to play in a silly and childlike, I feel like she's very relevant in my life in that sense right now. But when she comes out with holding that trauma, experiences that are still very relevant in my mind today, most likely because she still exists. Um, it's harder, and I think that's something that everybody feels, even if they don't know that that exists within them. It's I don't know if you've ever heard of the term of pain body, how we can store experiences, good and bad, but the bad are the ones that can result in imbalance in our systems. Like it can be embedded in your womb, it can be embedded in your lungs and your throat chakra or in your mind, and ultimately manifest into something even bigger like cancer or a bigger disease. And working with Ayurveda and in my, health, I know for a fact that this is something that is holding me back now, but also could potentially exasperate into something even bigger. And that's something that I really don't want to carry within this amazing vessel that my soul is invited in today and gets this opportunity to explore this planet at this time. I just want to honor that. And if part of that is answering her calls, then I'm going to do the work, even though it's not easy.
Yeah, I find that I doubt it's just our generation, but obviously, like I'm in this generation and that's what I see. But I really find it special and like an important way of devoting our lives to wellness and in the way of being with what's here and what's real and like confronting it and moving through it kind of in the name of wellness. I just that's one of my reasons or almost like pillars for why I like stay rooted and feeling my feelings as they come. And when I experience something, whether it's grief or something emotional or a physical, you know, iteration of something, I was just recently reminded of like I had some feelings that I knew were there and big, and I was just like, what if I just like don't deal with this right now? And then I just like very quickly had the remembering of like, oh yeah, I choose to do this like for my own wellness, but also for the sake of writing a new story for my lineage and like for my future daughters and my future children, not wanting to pass my stuff on to them, which is a little bit impossible, but as much as I can, and also wanting to be able to like literally be present and with them in their lives. And obviously we can't control everything, but I do think that feeling things as they come and kind of like, for lack of a better word, like dealing with things as they come and not letting them get like clogged up in the body is a really beautiful way to prevent disease.
Yeah, I'm really glad you said that because um, I feel as though that work is coming up primarily right now because I am getting really excited to bring another soul into this life and feel like that's not super far out. And I am working in birth work and postpartum and fertility and all of those things that, when you want to work in something, you have to kind of look into it from yourself. And a big thing is spirituality and looking at my parents and I love them, but they did not do that work. They didn't heal their childhood. And it resulted in a narcissistic dad and, a very loving mother that holds a lot of confusion and pain and has taken a while to really find herself when, you can always pour it into something else. Like you can have 4 kids and just pour all of your love and energy into that, to them and into your household. But what would it look like if you poured that energy into yourself first and showed up fully whole, in your wisdom and your groundedness to raise another being? And so I met a woman I was at a Indigenous Ayurveda conference, not last weekend, but the weekend before. And a woman had just had a 3-month-year-old and I just like admired her so much. I could feel her carrying herself and just, when you meet one of those people that are just, you feel their consciousness and their presence and their wholeness. I looked up to her and just, I feel like she automatically felt that. And she's like, it's taken a lot of work. And like without me even asking, like she just knew like it's taken me a lot of work to get to where I'm at. And with this 3-month-year-old being in my hands, this didn't just come naturally. Um, which I think is an important reminder as we move through life, kind of putting other people on pedestals or saying I'm not enough because I'm not here yet, or um, yeah, like with a lot of the social media and influences of outside knowledge that isn't really connected to our everyday lives. Just a reminder that we don't really know what it's like to be in another person's shoes, and we don't really know how that's transpiring in their own life. But what we can do is look at our own and show up fully for ourselves. And that's what makes you radiate to others and shine. It's not having a good filter or a good trip to Europe, you know? It's like those are great. I love that, but that's not, we have to really stand grounded and especially with all that's changing and kind of return to nature as much as possible in the time of, you know, I mean, AI, we can get into AI and all of that, but I haven't even introduced myself. So I feel like
Yeah, everyone listening, this is Mackenzie Carmichael. I was like
Um,
waiting to slip that in, but the conversation was flowing so
like
good.
I'll just be unknown. Yeah, so I guess I'll just go segue into that. My name is Mackenzie, and I'm originally from Florida, Tampa, Florida. I think Sydney and I actually were both relatively grew up nearby. You were in St. Pete, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. We both went to FSU, Florida State, and experienced probably quite a unique college wild ride. And um, yeah, I right after college moved to Breckenridge, Colorado, and throughout college and just kind of my life, I was always interested in health and wellness. Went into studying dietetics during college, but quickly realized the medical paradigm is really not for me. Partially because of the knowledge I was receiving, and also because the way that my brain works and not being able to retain information in that way. And yoga at this point has been, I started when I was 16 and it really transformed my life. I don't want to bounce around too much right now, but I was raised in a fundamentalist Christian home, um, and went to a fundamentalist school for the first 8 years of my life and only knew that, Jesus and God and Holy Spirit was the only way, as well as the only science. So, um,
Mm.
Jesus walking, the earth and Adam and Eve, all of that. Anyways, so fast forward 16 years into my life, went to a couple yoga classes, was instantly drawn to the teachings, the movements, I think at first it was this is like something that I could do and look cute if I like kind of went in for a superficial reason, and then it up flipped me into a very spiritual, grounded, conscious presence experience. And throughout college, I realized if I stopped doing yoga, I would get into a dark place. And same with once I moved to Breckenridge, once I stopped doing yoga, I would get into a dark place. So I ended up getting my yoga teacher training, and that's when I was exposed to Ayurveda. And when I was taught Ayurveda in my YTT, a light bulb went off in my head of like, whoa, where has this been? This makes total sense. Everything in alignment with nature within us. And kind of at that point realized I am a part of nature. I'm not separate. I'm not this um superior being because I'm a human. I'm a mammal and I'm existing and flowing with this cosmic intelligence as well. And so self-studied for a couple years and then ended up getting my master's at Maharishi International University. And about just over a year ago, I graduated from that program. And yeah, and it's been quite a wild ride and in knowledge of health as well as deep spiritual consciousness-based education. And over the past year, have really integrated the wisdom of Ayurveda into women's health and wanting to bring it into birth work, postpartum work, and fertility, as well as returning people to nature through body work and Ayurvedic forms of body work, and which is called panchakarma. So, ways of healing your karmas through Virechana, home cleansing, and ultimately a lot of hands-on body work and experience. We can get into different types of modalities of deep cleanse. This is actually fall is a great time to cleanse, fall and spring. So that's right now I'm working with a lot of clients on healing from years and years of imbalance and also people that stay pretty consistent with their seasonal cleanses. And I think, I'm not labeling myself as anything. I'm really trying to learn what it's like to be in a human body and have multifaceted interests and pleasures and joys and connections and allowing to myself to really tap into what is needed of the time. And along with that, having fun. Not, I don't want to look back in 50 years, which I think a lot of baby boomers might look back and be like, what did I do? Why did I do this? Did I enjoy it? Did it help others? And it's a hard construct to step out of because of money and desire, right? But having this deep, profound trust in the universe and really aligning with how it wants to use me and knowing that I'm here for a reason, just like everyone else is, and really trying to guide with that.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Can you tell us, for those who don't know, some kind of summary around what Ayurveda is?
Yes, so Ayurveda is an ancient Eastern stemming from the Himalayas of India. Is ancient knowledge that is rooted in the five elements. And so you have space and air. This is going from least dense to most dense. So space, air, fire, water, and earth. And those five elements make up the three doshas. So space and air are coordinated with vata dosha, and then fire and water are coordinated to pitta, and then water and earth are coordinated to kapha. And through those three doshas, you can pretty much explain or relate anything to a rock or a plant or anything in life because everything on this planet is made up of those five elements. Um, and then doshas help categorize that within a body as well as an environment and what it looks like as a vikriti or an imbalance in the body. I guess to give an example, for instance, vata, space and air qualities. So an imbalance of vata would look like too much space and air. Right now, it's fall time, so we're in a vata season. Things are starting to get colder and drier, and there's more wind, and um, there's more darkness coming in. And what does that show up like in the body without a contrasting balance? People might get more dry skin. Their hair might get a little bit, they might get some, what is it called? Dandruff. Their stool, their digestion might slow down if they keep eating like they were in the summertime. They might notice some constipation or some harder stools. Um, they might notice an increase of anxiety or worry, um, like a rushed energy, hectic, like feeling like there's not enough time in the day, right? Because there is less time in the day, essentially, with the sun season. And so, yeah, so what do we do when we're all experiencing our own form of vata right now in the US, varying levels. I'm in Colorado, you're in Tennessee, I believe.
I'm in Florida right now, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So a little different than Colorado, a little less seasonally, but I'm sure it's getting a little cooler, a little,
Yeah, I'm in North Florida, so it is cooling down.
yeah, and then a little bit more wind, right? Or no?
Dry. Like the humidity is like I
Yeah.
feel like a fish out of water.
Yeah. And so, what we do when we notice those elements increasing in the body and increasing in our environment, we take the opposite. So, we're going to take more kapha energy and kapha um, foods in to balance out vata, like a really warm, hearty stew, warm liquid, teas, and really deeply nourishing foods that are warm in nature and going to bed earlier, journaling, grounding yourself, not exerting, not socializing as much, taking time to really balance out the intensity of wind and cool and dry. And so that's just one example of how we integrate into everything, and everybody shows up differently. People are born with more vata in their constitution. So vata time of the year might be more imbalancing, or can take them off of balance more easily than somebody that has more of a kapha constitution. And as an Ayurvedic practitioner, we that's like one of the things that we kind of assess is like, what is this person coming in with? What is their nature? And then what is showing up as their Vikriti, their balance. So Prakriti and Vikriti. And we do that through pulse reading and tongue reading and physical attributes, as well as learning of lifestyle, diet, behavior, relationships. It looks a lot different than going to your doctor's office, in the sense of really getting to know a whole person. As much as holistic medicine is, there's a lot of different forms of holistic medicine. I was just drawn to Ayurveda. It's not just about the body, right? The body is the point. The whole point is enlightenment. And so when we are in alignment within the physical, we can get to higher states of consciousness more easily. And so having the experience of being human is beautiful, but it's not necessarily like we're just trying to balance ourselves so that we can connect to our deeper layers of consciousness and, reach enlightenment or unity consciousness, where we feel this deep resonance and connection to all living source and beyond.
Mm.
So yeah, I'm on that journey. I'm not there yet, but I find it I find Ayurveda to be extremely powerful, and um I think the most beautiful thing is that it's community based as well. You're not just doing things selfishly. You really want to like feel good within yourself so that that can shine a light on the community and impact, you know, your your circle and grow that circle beyond, and seeing that as an impact from just like how you communicate with others. If I meditate twice a day, how am I going to show up in my yoga classes? How am I going to show up to my pets and when I'm grocery shopping and when I'm driving my car? And how is that going to affect somebody else when I walk by and smile at them from a true self reverence, not you know, as a not fake.
Yeah, I had a moment of that just before this call. I like snapped at my dogs because they were just being crazy. And then I was like, you know what? I have 30 minutes. Like, let's go on a walk. You guys can run around and just get your energy out. And like, just having that, it's almost like a mirror. And it's nice to be able to practice with dogs before before humans. But it was just a moment of like me snapping at them and then me being like, okay, this has nothing to do with the dogs.
Mhm.
I think we all just need to go on a walk. I need a snack.
Yeah. And they they feel our energy so deeply and connect to our being. And even so, like if you take your phone on a walk with your dog and say, like you can just like do this as a trial, because I've done it. Where like say I have a busy morning and I'm just like, I'm responding to emails on the walk. I'm like looking at my social media posts, or I'm just like engaged in this box of fake light. My dogs will be way more anxious and bored and like not connected, like on the walk, and they will keep like coming up to me and kind of like wanting attention. And so take the altar and do no phone, bring the ball, bring the treats, like get really like pumped up on the walks. They are just like so enlivened and connected to you, and you come back from that walk feeling 100 times better than when you like barely even remember it because you didn't look up like from your phone. And it's really relevant. A lot of people are on their phones on their walks because it's like a 30-minute part of your day that you could be getting stuff done. But like how much more productive would you be if you actually took a time to stop and like literally smell the roses, take, the pine tree leaf and rub it in your nose and take your shoes off and put your toes through the grass and smell the air rushing through the leaves and as the leaves fall or not fall wherever you are, like really connect to that and also getting that sun absorption and that vitamin D and just so that with your dogs and then take that with your children and as a nanny that's I've been nannying for, 15 plus years, a lot of people think kids aren't aware because they aren't speaking. They're nonverbal in the way that we speak as a human right now in our 20s or 30s. They are even more aware because they are more connected to source. Because with just being born, they're so close to that transfer and that they're so enlivened in their consciousness and they remember and they feel so deeply even in the womb or in like their early infantry times and how you show up in that is and present and conscious is really going to shape your child's intellect and heart, and so it is great to have the experience of little doggies to learn and grow with.
Yeah. Yeah, my like middle dog Tarzan is his name, and he will just like come up and nudge my phone out of my hand if I'm on my phone too long. And then Solstice, the baby, when I'm on my computer or I've just been like working too long, she just comes up to me and is like, "Time to get up and go outside." And I'm like, "Yeah, you're right."
Yeah, it's time. You'll be more productive if you do.
Yeah, totally. So there was something you said when you were talking a little bit about like your inner child, and you were also talking about, how your mom had these four kids where she could just put all her focus there and pour all her love into there. And I feel like it's a really liberating question that you stated. I think it was something along the lines of, what if we poured all of that love into ourselves? And I think that that's just, yeah, it's a liberating question for women in general because I think our natural state is to like take care of everyone else. And I don't know if this is like a thing of modern times where we forget to take care of ourselves, or that we just like, there's kind of this like twisted narrative that's been handed down through generation to generation of um, like almost as if it's a waste of time to take care of ourselves, or like we don't need it, like all these other people need it. And yeah, I just wonder if you want to speak on that more, because I feel like there's also like this energy of scarcity around that, and like, oh, if I pour all of this love into myself, then everyone else is like not gonna, there won't be enough for everyone else. And I really like to kind of like try to flip that. It's like, well, if the only way we could get a woman to like be motivated to take care of herself is through being like, okay, but if you don't take care of yourself, then you can't care of anyone else, which is like, for me, it's not the optimal place of where I would like want a woman to be coming from for self-care and self-reverence. But if that's the starting point, I think that's perfect. That's fine. But I just, yeah, do you have anything more to say on that?
Yeah, I think we have been in a long-term patriarchal way of life that has made it so almost confusing to women on what that looks like to take time for yourself, like it doesn't necessarily mean going on a month vacation by yourself and reading a self-help book the whole time. Like it doesn't have to look like that. In fact, when you look at like we are as women more lunar beings, we have monthly phases and cycles and ebbs and flows, and we don't wake up the same every day. And that's a beautiful thing. However, science and societal structure has created this circadian rhythm lifestyle that we all need to intertwine with. And it makes it really hard for women to find balance within, like, I guess, a routine of a 9 to 5 or what health looks like for a man should look like for a woman. And I think the first thing I tell women is really to start looking at your cycle and and it doesn't matter whether you're, in your maiden or matriarch or your chrome, post-menopause. It's really looking at what is happening on a daily basis within you. And I think I'll speak specifically for women around my age right now because that's, I guess, like the most relevant I can speak to. I haven't experienced perimenopause or menopause. I know a little bit about it, but I don't want to speak from my own experience because I haven't experienced it yet. I will, and I'm excited and looking forward to that journey because I think it's really beautiful. And we should also change the structure and the naming of that as well, because it's like everything is built around prevention for that to happen, which is like I'll just say one thing about this before we like circle back with menopause is that there's only three animals on this planet that go through menopause, and they are humans, chimpanzees, and whales. And both chimpanzees and whales, when they experience the woman experiences their menopause, they become the wisdom seeker or the source to the community that of wisdom. Everyone looks up to these mammals once they've gotten to their chrome. And we're the only society, like mammal society that says, don't do that. Like, don't experience menopause. Like, push it back as much as you can. Get on hormone replacement, get on. And it's resulted in all of these symptoms that come up now, Like, that's not natural. Menopause shouldn't be this extremely treacherous experience, but it's the way that we've been living our lives and the mental attitude around it that has created such imbalance in life and in our bodies around that time. Anyways, I'll just say a little bit about my own experience because I think it's pretty common in the fact that, when I first received my menses, it was something, menses as in like my first blood, my first flow. Um, It was an experience of shame, of like, how can I get this to go away? Like, like, I don't really want to tell that many people about it. And I remember I was in 8th grade and like had a cross country meet and like put a bunch of pads in and like ran the cross country meet and was like so embarrassed, like thinking about like, does it look like I have a diaper on now? Or like, and then as soon as I got home that day, like just grabbed like all my mom's tampons and just like try to figure out how to get like a tampon up my vaginal canal as quickly as possible. And I learned, like I literally remember sitting on the toilet for hours and I didn't really, my mom wasn't really involved. Like it was an alone feeling like of shame, of like, yeah, of grossness and how can I make this stop? But also like deep down a little bit of excitement too, but just like not knowing how to express that of like, oh my gosh, like I'm a woman, but like this is gross and like boys at school think it's gross, like
Yeah.
and um
You have three siblings, right?
yes.
Where do you fall in that? And like, Are they sisters or brothers or?
I have an older brother who's 2.5 years older than me. And then I have two younger siblings that are 7 and 8 years younger than me. So a younger brother and then a younger sister. My sister is 8 years apart.
Okay.
So that's another story, but I like really fell into a mother type role very young. Like the time that you want to play with dolls, I was playing with real babies.
Yeah.
And it helped shape me a lot. But yeah, then you get into high school and you know, it's just something that you wanted to cover up. And I was never taught or honored or celebrated for it. And I was never taught how to honor I don't even think I knew what the cycles were until probably like not even that long ago did I learn,
Yeah.
menstruation, luteal, ovulation, follicular. Those aren't in order, but and I talk to a lot of women, and some women still don't even know what those words are.
Yeah.
And to go back to pouring love into yourself, what does it take to know yourself, right? Like, and is pushing off this quite dramatic shifting energy throughout the month, helping to, what is that doing to not help? If you don't notice, how is it in a detriment to you in knowing how to love yourself and how to love the parts that maybe come up during those times that you don't love? Like, what is that shining a light on? I know during luteal, it's like this Pandora's box of things that come up of like, for me at least, it's like you're not worthy enough. You're not a good girlfriend. You're crazy. Like these things that, oh, I can just brush them off as like a PMS or whatever, but there's some truth to them of feeling these feelings for a long time that my body wants me to grieve and let go of. And that's hard to do when your progesterone is up and you've already ovulated and your hormones are increasing and your ba body is trying to make a baby, but you're not making a baby, so it's about to bleed and you're like running low on energy, wanting more sleep, but still have to get up at the same time to go to your work appointment or whatever. And these life structure systems that bring more pressure on those types of on our cycle throughout the month. And then these things pop up and we just feel them or don't feel them or brush them off. And then it just keeps repeating that cycle. And so I think a major thing for women about pouring love into themselves is really to begin to honor what these phases look like for you and to find what feels good, what feels good to eat. You don't need to look at Instagram and like find what someone else is doing. Like there's a lot of good information out there, absolutely. But like we have a womb. Like it's insane. This is like this intuitive, creationary, connective, like connected to source informational center that we can tune into. But there's a disconnect. Like that's been happening for years and years and years and years and probably over hundreds of years long. Um, that's prevented this exchange of information. And so we're thinking out of here and we're not tapping into the heart or the womb. And I know what helps me is sometimes closing my eyes and not projecting, like this looks of everything and looking at other people's information, which can be helpful again, like I'm saying, but I think that's what I've always loved about Ayurveda is it's not about teaching it's not about having a reoccurring client. It's about teaching them the knowledge that they can tap into on their own because we all are sources connected. And that's really what's going to create healing in our universe and in our communities and society is like getting people to tap into that, especially women and men. But women, I think, are a guiding force to help healing men as well. And stepping into that role and that honor, that honorable of wisdom that we, for like ancestral history, have been known to be the healers of and the holders of that wisdom. We can
Yeah,
fucking create a baby. Like what is more magnificent than that? And if you don't want
truly
to, like,
nothing.
that's fine. But like, and I'm not saying, but it's like we can, if you're not creating a baby, you can create anything you fucking want. Like
Yeah.
that it like because if you can create a human, you can create a business, you can create healing, you can create so much. And if you're honoring this area, and I will say one of the largest symptoms and largest imbalances I see in women today is endometriosis. So many women, I would say 1 out of 3 women have endometriosis. And one of the biggest causes is trauma,
Mm.
not healing and it can be anything, but sexual abuse, physical, abuse. It can be mental, it is a holding of your uteral lining. And what does that look like, in your past, like what have you held on to for so long? And it takes work. Like it's a huge, huge issue and it's really sad. And it's a big part of for infertility
Mm.
these
Yeah.
days. So,
Yeah, I think it's so beautiful to just witness how powerful our wombs are because like there has been some kind of like attack. I don't know from where, from who, but there has been some attack or some agenda to like have this severance of this is the seat of power for women, but really for all of humanity and all of life. And to sever that for generations and generations and generations, like who knows how far back that goes. But the fact that we still have access to it and like our womb is always speaking to us, like what you were saying about in the cycle, just the different things that come up and the things that come up in luteal and just once you just start paying attention to it instead of just like it's always there, and we joke about it and like brush it off as PMS or like, oh, must be her time of the month or you must be about to get your period, but it's like that is our wombs. Like it's not severed. It's really not. That is our womb speaking to us. And once you kind of just like, it's literally just the littlest, the smallest tweak of like, oh, I hear you. And then it's just like, bam, she's back. Like she forgives you for everything. And like we're back and we're best friends again, And like I say that. And also I do think there is, through my own experience, has been like, yes, there is that instant forgiveness. And yes, we're back in communication. Great. And also, of course, it is a living relationship. So it does take work and energy and reverence and offerings and a lot of conversations and compassion and understanding to cultivate that relationship again. And I think that a lot of us are who are doing that work are doing it for more than just ourselves. We're doing it for generations back and generations forward. And I say that, but like also I would say take that with a grain of salt because I for some years like got kind of lost and bogged down in that by like I used to create the story of like my womb holds like all the trauma of my maternal lineage and the previous generations of me. And that was just like kind of where we started this conversation. Like, that is too much to hold, like, too much to carry. And it's also just not mine. It's not my responsibility. And once I've like realized that, like, Sid, that's kind of wild. Yes, maybe that is true. And like, that's not like like, oh, I'm doomed. Like, I gotta be the cycle breaker. I have to heal everything. Like, once I really loosened my grip on that and just thought, like, let me just see what's present here now, like for me. I think that's a big teaching of the womb and you spoke to this a little bit too, of what is here now, like what's present now, and how a woman is, and really all beings are like ever changing, ever evolving. Something that I needed yesterday like just might not work for me today. And I think cycle tracking can be really grounding and powerful because you start to notice the patterns. And then it's like, okay, I do have this rhythm going on. And even still, that might change, but that's okay.
Mhm.
But just like allowing it, like, yeah, the culture and the patriarchy kind of like want you to be the same and perform the same and do the same and have the same level energy like every single day forever until you die. And then they're also like want you to just like prevent all of these natural bodily processes, like, oh my gosh, like don't bleed. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, don't get pregnant.
Take
Oh
this
my
birth
gosh.
control,
Yeah,
you know,
don't.
that prevents bleeding.
Yeah. Oh, but there's no side effects. Like you'll be
Yeah.
fine. Like
Yeah.
your fertility will be fine. Everything will be fine. Like it just reminds me of like the appendix and how there's just this huge notion around like, oh, you don't need it. And like,
Hmm.
oh, you'll be fine without it. You don't need it. Or like just any body part where they're just like, oh, you don't really need it. Someone said recently that like the the gallbladder is becoming the new appendix. Like they're kind of being like, oh, you don't need your gallbladder. But it's like, why would we have it if we didn't need it, you know? Like
Right.
we're not meant to sever the connection of our brain to our ovaries. Like there's no way that doing that isn't going to affect everything else, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're seeing in the world today is the effect of several generations of like the attempt to sever women from their womb wisdom and how that affects like all of humanity and all of life, really. You know, it's like what you
Well,
do to yourself, you do to the earth, and it's just glaringly obvious. And at this point, I think it's just like quite foolish and ignorant to be like, oh no, like let's just keep doing what we're doing. Like let's just keep pushing forward. It's like, yeah, can we move forward with the wisdom of the past to guide us, you know?
and to really look at the word feminism, right? I think the feminism movement started almost as like anti-feminism of like let's be more like men and do we can do all things that men can do. And I want to say this as a feminist, like as somebody that wants to support fully women, that is not how what we should look like. And it's okay to not look like a man's life and a man's drive and way of living. Like, what I see as a real feminist is honoring the feminine cycle and showing up in your feminine power of I'm gonna rest for 2 days during my bleed. And that doesn't mean I'm not powerful. That means I am powerful. Because how am I going to show up during my follicular and my ovulation when I do take that rest? How is that going to show up in my body and my creativity center and my bones and my willpower and drive throughout the rest of the month? And it doesn't have to look like I'm weak. That's actually taking strength to, and it takes work, like right now I'm like I'm learning how to not people please as much, because if things come up around my bleed, how can I say no in this like voice activated, not like, no, no, I like can't, or like how people, I think women speak a lot of the times from like here, like, hi,
Mm.
nice to meet you. It's like, what is that? Like, cut it out. Like, hi, nice to meet you, and like, no, no, I can't do that. Yes. Or that sounds great. Let me think about it. And I think we are just so conditioned to please, men as well as women, as well as just society, like to be this like nice girl, And it's like, what would it look like if I showed up fully in what it's saying here? Yeah. What is this area saying? And it does speak. It might take a while to listen, but she speaks. And yeah, I mean, I guess one of my biggest or favorite topics right now is women in pregnancy and how they're being treated in hospitals and how women are taught so much to outsource their information of creation when it's like your body already knows. And it's just another way of control. And the amount of C-sections happening of cutting into your womb, like how is that not only affecting you and your body and your connection to your baby, but is also how is this affecting new life on this planet? And the United States has one of the highest rates of C-sections in the world, more than less developed countries. But like, it's like, well, are they less developed or are we? Because we're the ones sitting here using knife and sterile environments to bring new life into this world that's not sterile. Like, it's not realistic. And then the mother has trouble breastfeeding, connecting to baby. They don't get their golden hour as much. Like, it's a whole topic. It's like I'm blown away at how many people I know already like just, oh yeah, like it was like it had to be a C-section, and it's like that's what the medical system is being taught over and over again is C-sections because of increased money as well as, I guess success rate of, like lack of issues but it's also just
Yeah,
quick.
efficiency, convenience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we can plan it. We don't have
Yep.
to take off our Thanksgiving or our weekend.
Yep. It's like, oh shoot, I was gonna play golf on Friday at 1. Like, can we bump your C-section up to 10 a.m.? You know,
Yeah.
like scheduling this Zoom call. They're like, let's schedule to birth your baby. Oh, and like, when you said that the US has some of the highest rates of C-section, me and you are like appalled by it, but some people like would think that's like a great advance in our society of like, oh look, it's you can just do a C-section. Women don't have to go through all of that. You can schedule it. Um, it's not a big deal. Like they act like it's not a major surgery and oh, if you can't breastfeed, that's fine. Like just give your baby this powdered chemical
Mhm.
stuff out of the tin and who the fuck knows what's in it and that's fine. And I actually just saw a video yesterday. I was just telling Shane about it. Um, it was talking about how the cry it out method came to be and how like
Ugh.
for all of time like babies have slept with their mothers and then there was these two men who just decided to like build this campaign around like cry it out and they framed it around like your baby needs to develop its lungs.
Mm.
So through just
Yeah.
leaving them there to cry, that will help develop their lungs. And then like yeah, that just kind of and then also like don't spoil your baby with too much love. So don't like hug and kiss them or hold them. If you have to, give them a kiss before they go to bed. And then at the end of the video though, the woman was saying that Um, one of the men who like engineered that whole thing had four children. Three of them attempted suicide and one was successful. And I was like, and then that's like what all of society is based on
Yeah.
now. It's like it's so dangerous to sleep in the same bed as your baby, and they make up like sudden infant death syndrome and blame it on women sleeping with their baby. And it's just like insane, like how quickly.
It's bizarre. It's more and more and more further away from nature.
Yeah.
You look at a bear or a giraffe or a dolphin or whatever mammal you want to look at, and they don't put their baby in a cave down the hallway, like, or like they are with that newborn and with that baby until they're ready to go out into the world. And like, you also look at the health of a mother. What is happening if a mom has to say she is breastfeeding? She has to get up, what, 4 times a night to walk and pick up her crying baby because the baby doesn't have its mother's heat, doesn't have its mother's heart rhythm to sleep, and then it's hungry, and then you're getting up and you're just up and down versus sleeping right there, nipple accessible. Everyone's sleeping like basically through the night. So much, and then also a great connection time for the father to be bonded with their child. It's And then it goes in, I like one of my fascinating topics right now is elimination communication of like babies
Yeah.
don't want to be peeing and pooping themselves until they're
Yeah.
5 years old, but that's the standard. And if you go look at the history of the diaper industry, it's like again, like it just makes sense. And of course, I know it's not easy. I'm not saying that it's just like I understand that people have different ways of living and but it makes sense to me that a baby would be learning just like a puppy learns to go outside, with good communication and like responsibility within the first couple months. Same
Yeah.
thing with the baby. They don't want to be sitting and poop and pee. A bear doesn't pee and poop in their cave at 2 months old. Like it's it's ways for us to be larger consumerists and disconnected from self and disconnected from others so that we can live in pain and cause more pain. I don't know. It's
We
relevant.
love the drama. We love the drama. We need it.
Yeah. And yeah, it's just it's not going to be easy to shift, but it does make sense as why there's so much hate and there's so much crime and there's polarity in so many ways in our world right now. And it's just continued division because we're divided from self. We're not connected to self, capital big S self. We are so divided and scared to look into that we keep allocating energy outwards. And what does that look like? Not great.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah, people that have like it's almost as if convenience like it's really not convenience if you kind of really look at it. Like even taking it back to the whole diapering thing of someone who would argue of like that's too much work, that's too much time, that's too much energy. It's like, okay, but what about teaching your 3-year-old like how to like potty training your 3-year-old? How much time and work and energy is that? Or what about all the money you have to spend on diapers or like all the
yeah.
energy you have to spend to go get diapers, like people are having baby showers and being like, please bring diapers to like offset the cost of diapers. And it's like, hey, what if you just didn't buy diapers? And
Hmm.
just like we're with your baby. And yeah, it's I try to hold these things lightly because I'm not a mother myself now and
Right.
what we were speaking to earlier of like being with what is, it's not about like being perfect and it's not about like oh, elimination communication is better than diapers. I think, yeah, we do all have to find what fits our lifestyle and what works for us and what's true for us. But I think it's worthy to just explore it, you know? And it also helps with the mother and her healing of like staying in bed and
Yeah.
being with your baby and connecting with your baby instead of just, being able to have a diaper and have a bottle and like hop in the car and like get
Let's like get
to
rid of
it.
the bounce back, you know?
Yeah.
There's no bounce back. Like that's not a thing.
Yeah. Like get back in bed.
Yeah, like put down your puppy pad, bleed, like, let yourself, bleed, free bleed and hold your baby in your arms until for like, I mean, in Ayurveda we say 42 days
hmm
of just like really taking time to like, and I know that that's not accessible for all. I just think putting the information out there is good because like I don't know, like what happened, like what does that look like when a mom just, starts pushing herself again so quickly?
Yeah.
And what is it? And I know a lot of women have other children, and I know that that's harder when it's not your firstborn. You don't have as much spaciousness because you're a mother to maybe two or three, four others, whatever. But what would that look like to show them especially if you have a daughter, show them what it like looks like to take space for yourself and love yourself. And
Yeah.
how can kids like easily mold into that rhythm as well? Because they
And to
they feel
teach your
that.
son, yeah, and to teach your son too, because then your son will grow up and like his wife has a baby, and then,
Hmm.
maybe she wants to get out of bed, and then your son can be there to be like, oh no, like you just had a baby. You stay in
Yeah.
bed. Like, let me feed you. Let me t like I got this, you know? And yeah, it is an interesting conversation of like privilege and what's accessible. And also, like that is very real. Some women do have to just get back to work. And also, I think for those of us who do have the space to ponder it and wonder like how things could be different, what could be possible. I think that that's kind of our duty and our responsibility in a sense to like actually practice these ways and take the time that we have and the energy that we have to pass that on and set that example for our community and also like get creative of around like okay, if I did like have these circumstances, like what other ways could I get a woman to rest more? Like how can we practice asking for help and like not feeling shame or feeling like less than because we need support from other people, like not having to do it all.
Yeah.
And I
Getting the
think there are
community.
so many ways we can like reorient our lives to be more in alignment with our natural instincts and processes. And yes, not everybody can do that. Like there's not anything that everybody can do. Well, I don't know if I believe that, but
Mhm.
like if we can do it, I think it is our responsibility to do it.
Well, and I guess just like a little bit about my fascination right now with AI. And I know there's a lot of negative ways to look at it, but it's also here, right? It's not going anywhere. And it's here for a reason. Whether we see that reason right now, sure, I don't know, but it's going to change everything. And what if we can actually use it to kind of get back to nature? Because in a lot of ways, AI is like part of the source. It's like this ability to now have all of this information at everyone's fingertips. And it's interesting when we look at like, yeah, like getting back to nature, taking more time to yourself, like in some way, AI is going to infiltrate into the system even more deeply, where people aren't going to be able to even have the jobs that they have now. But the jobs that I think that will still exist are the jobs that come back to nature,
Yeah.
come back to like physically touching people and connecting to people and seeing another and feeling that deep reverence and love and heart to heart connection that you wouldn't get with a computer system or this optimal intelligence. Um, so I think it's just interesting. I think it's in the conversations a lot these days. And when I look at coming back to nature, it's like, of course, I don't think that AI is like you returning to nature, but could it give you the time to do that? You know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think you should write all of your, you know, essays or whatever using AI and not using your own voice.
It's almost like one thought that came up for me while you were talking was it's almost like God has been like watching us and like watching us make our priorities of just like seeking information and being like so technologically minded that God's like, all right, like I'll give it all to you. Like here it all is, and it's going to be quick and you can't spend your whole life doing all that shit. And now you can get back to like being human and like evolving your consciousness and being in relationship and I yeah, I've had this conversation a little bit with my dad and some people really push back and are like, yeah, but what about the jobs? Like how are people going to survive? And that is a very real conversation. And I'm kind of a bit of a dreamer myself, and so I really feel like I can kind of zoom out and see like how beautiful it can't like I think there will be, it's going to be a transition and it's going to be tough. And honestly, we're already in it. Like it's already
Yeah.
begun. People have already been like losing jobs and but it's and like nothing's ever going to be fair for everyone, It's never going to be we're never all going to be equal. Like that's just we're all unique and diverse and have our strengths and weaknesses and have our different struggles in different ways, but it's like it is going to like kind of force us to like be human and like have more space to just like be alive and not having to like be working and I think it will also like birth a lot more creativity and connection and it's I think it's going to be rough and of course like people have to pay their bills and I don't have the answers for that. That's not my I'm not in that role, but I can kind of zoom out and see how it is how it is for us, you know?
Or like, like what is it that you're chasing? Is it money? Because that's not that is not the light at the end of the tunnel. And you can look at all the billionaires that have committed suicide and or billionaires that are clearly out of touch with source. And it's like that that doesn't like we know this. Like come on, people. Like yes, it provides, but even our own currency isn't backed up to resource anymore. So you're just looking at this like fake construct, almost like AI. Like you're looking at this fake construct of wealth that we all are all buying into, but it's non-existent. Currency of our United States dollar is not backed up by actual resource anymore. So it's just we're just agreeing with the system. So what is richness, really?
Yeah. Yeah. What is wealth? Because it's not just money, you know?
No. It's actually the opposite because money is just at this point paper that we're just saying it means something.
Yeah,
But
it's
like,
really not even paper anymore. It's kind of just numbers on a computer. Um,
yeah, exactly. That too. Yeah.
yeah, I've been doing a lot of work around money, and so like I do also think that maybe more so like the energy of money, like the truth of money does hold significance.
Um,
and the I think we have a really twisted way of how we look at it now and chase it and see it and like it's not enough. Um yeah, so I feel like hesitant to be like, it's not about money, which it's not about money, but also I don't think that like having the desire to be well resourced is a negative thing, you know?
Right. I think changing the relationship around it,
Mm-hmm.
and especially with our country alone, like what would that look like? Does anyone need over $1 billion? Right? Like like that just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And why, what is that here to teach us? Because with the amount of resource that we have on this planet, there is enough wealth for people to live without food scarcity, without water cleanliness, without a roof over their home. And yet here we are, even dismantling that. If we look at Gaza, we're taking that life down. And that's a whole other topic, like very devastating. And, you know, whether I don't know what the answers are to that, but
Yeah.
whatever
I
we're doing
wonder
right now.
if I wonder if AI will like what would happen if AI just like presented the answers to like solve hunger and clean water and like no, oh, if you do this, then you won't have any more war and like if
Um,
like what will happen when AI like serves that up on a platter and then like, the billionaires or whatever who are just playing this power dynamic game, like what will happen when that's just like presented and it's like here clearly like we've solved all your problems.
yeah. Or dismantle religious warfare.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
this is like, I guess, like way far out, but like if AI comes out more as like God or something, could religion be deconstructed in a way that's back to source of like, we're all here for the same, like, we're all connected in the same realm, and there's no right or wrong way to get to the source within you. Let's stop bombing another person because they have a different way to connect to their source than you. Like, I mean, religion is just, if you look at history and from hundreds and hundreds of years, it's just the continuation of hate and war and de civilization dismantling.
Yeah, I would say to kind of circle back of like what we've been talking about this whole time is I think religion had a big influence on like the severance of men and women, but also like from ourselves, from nature, women from their wombs. Like it was a big I think in a lot of ways religion has kind of been this like anti-nature, like let us show you something greater than
Mm,
nature and it's so silly and kind of funny to be like that religion is supposed to be about God, but it's like this like God created all of this. God is nature. Like we are all God. Like there's really no, it's not possible to separate or sever ourselves from any of it. So I don't know, it's interesting because obviously like we are who we are and we have our beliefs something in my brain I just like there's certain things like it's 2025 and I just can't comprehend how certain people do like make sense of certain things. Like, how can you convince yourself that it's like war is okay? Or
yeah.
that like, yeah, I don't know. All these, I didn't grow up with, I didn't really have any religion stuff like pushed on me. Like, my dad grew up Baptist and my mom grew up Catholic, and they both kind of had their religious stuff, but they didn't really push stuff on us. Like we went to church sometimes, and that's something that I am like grateful for, to have kind of had a little bit of a clean slate with that kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
even though I did, like I used to consider myself like an atheist,
Hmm.
and then I've just the past like I don't know 7 or 8 years been on this journey of like really like I used to cringe to hear the word God or pray, and like now I've really like reclaimed those words for myself and like what they mean for me. And not saying that like what I believe is right. I don't think that either. Like I think that everyone, like you said, everyone kind of finds their way however they find it, and that's great and beautiful, but it is just kind of mind-boggling of when that's how that sort of stuff can lead to like violence and hatred, and it just doesn't like the math isn't mathing.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot of pain right now, and that's, I think just part of you just got to do the work and connect to your why
Yeah.
and um and pray and listen and meditate and um that can look like different for everyone, like prayer can be talking to a tree. Like it doesn't have to be this, yeah, constructed systematic way that we might have learned through our own experience or even our government, And it's hard to not also come from a place of privilege when I say that, because I'm not, seeing bombs go off in my window right now.
Yeah.
Um, but I do think that we are all connected. We are all feeling the immense density of pain in our world, and I don't think that that's separate. I think there is a collective consciousness, and I do think it's starting to change, and I have a lot of faith in that. And that's what I like want to continue to lead with is that hope and also knowing that the people what you give to others is what you'll get back. And if we continue to do that, that there will be a slowly constructed healing take place.
Yeah.
It'll take time, but we can't just forget about it because of the amount of time that it might take. We gotta just do our work every day, stay connected to our practices and go out and do what is calling to you, Like if you're in a job or you're in a relationship or you're in a location that just doesn't feel right, life is way too short. It really is. You could die tomorrow, you never know, It's just not worth listening to that voice in you every day saying to do something else and then not doing it.
Do you have a practice that you would want to share with everyone? Something that kind of keeps you rooted, keeps you grounded?
Yeah, I mean, I have a couple. I would say I think the most, I guess, like easy and relatable one that could be tied into anyone's life is having a dinacharya, which is a morning routine. And there's something about like my days don't look the same at all, especially within like my practice and everything. But there's something about what you do and how you approach your morning and your day that like can shape your life. With that, like I don't go a day without I wake up and I like will first, turn over, open my window, see the sun coming like up or coming in, depending on what time it is. And every time I remember to do this, I'm trying to be better at this, but just saying thank you. Like for another day that I get to breathe, another day that I get to feel, another day that I get to see and walk and just experience this life. And then, not just like jumping out of bed, like startling your nervous system, but really like taking that time for gratitude and like not looking at my phone or anything. And then tongue scraping. I tongue scrape to remove anything that came up from my system from the night before. And I do nasya, which is a nasal oil that I warm up in the sink, just like through hot water, dipping it in and then inhaling it, and it really helps connect your brain and your senses and like open up your five senses through your hippocampus and your nostrils. And from there, I do Gardushana, which is an oil pulling. So I swish oil in my mouth for about 5 to 10 minutes. And I know these are just like, I guess, like a brushing your teeth thing, but it really connects you to your body and yourself. And like a lot of times I look at in the mirror and I just like will say, I love you, I love you, I love you while I'm brushing my teeth. And and then I meditate. And then I walk in the sun. And those things, and like, it doesn't always look exactly the same, but having a few of those things that I can commit to on a daily basis, whether I'm in my home or in like visiting home and family in Florida or like on vacation or whatever, I can always return to those things. Those are things that are there. Like the sun is always outside that I can go walk and feel the breeze on my skin and feel the warmth on my skin. I can always find a seat to close my eyes. It doesn't have to be 20 minutes. It doesn't have to be, 5 minutes. It can be reconstructed. And it's just creating that time and that space for just me and myself that really grounds me, especially in like so much transition and change that we experience, coming back to that. And I'm more of a morning person, so that's where my routine comes in. But having just a routine at any point, I think is really, really beneficial. Like if you want a night routine, having things that you turn to that you find grace and love and empathy for yourself and compassion, and also respect. Like I deserve this. I deserve to cleanse my mouth really nicely and to brush my hair and or rinse my face or brush my teeth and floss. Like I deserve this right now. And it's not for beauty, it's for connection. Cleanliness and like health is a direct effect of it, but it's like for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Can we talk about tongue scraping really quick? Because
Yeah.
I have been, ever since I met Brittany, which I shared her Instagram account with you before Earthbound Ayurveda, because she was actually the Ayurveda like teacher in my yoga teacher training. And so
Oh, no.
that's how her and I connected. And I did a consultation with her and I started tongue scraping. And this was, I think it was in 2020. And recently, like the past several months, I stopped because I just need to get a new tongue scraper. Like mine has little silicone handles and it's just started to like gross me out. But
Mhm.
so then I'm like been like, okay, what is it like to not scrape my tongue? And I need to order another one because I just feel like I need to do it. Like it's crazy that I didn't do it for like my whole life. And then
I
it's
know.
one of those things, it's like once you start, you can't really stop. But I've had like a lot of like mucus in the back of my throat, like back of my tongue. I'm like feeling it right now. I'm like it's cringing me out. But can you just talk about tongue scraping a little bit?
Yeah, I definitely recommend ordering a copper one so that you can get that online easily. And copper is also like pH balancing. The other really good one to do is like silver, but it's way more expensive. So,
Yeah, After I did my consultation, she actually told me that she doesn't recommend me to get a copper one. So I think mine is like stainless steel or something.
Okay. Um, Copper is better for, I think it's kapha and vata, and then pitta is better with silver or
Mhm.
stainless steel. Um, I don't think it matters like that much, to be honest. Like it's more of like you're not, leaving it on your tongue for that long. You're just like, but tongue scraping is one, it helps remove whatever, like I said, came up from the night before, mucus, toxins, undigested phlegm, like in toxins. But another thing that it's really good for is connecting to what's going on within your gut.
Hmm.
So when you wake up and you have this like film on your mouth, what does it look like? How much is there? How thick is it? How quickly does it go away? It's everything is information, right? And so that is just like another, and if you don't scrape it off, you're just going to end up swallowing it. It's going to go back into the system and it might come out another way or it might stay in the body for a longer period of time. And so tongue scraping is just a really deep knowledge source, just like your sweat. How does your sweat smell? Don't put deodorant on. Like, you can put like like I do the salt rock. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Mhm.
But in general, like there's so many things in our lives that we're given to hide our natural waste products. And what is that doing? Like that's not beneficial at all. Like we want to know what our smell is. We want to know what our poop looks like. We want to know how our hair grows, what our eyes, what the sclera look like, um, what our tongue looks like. And it's just like part of like what our vaginal excretions are. Like these are things that like connect us to ourselves and they're not to be afraid of. And I
Yeah.
know it's like sometimes your tongue scraping, you're like, oh, this is gross, or like you don't want to watch your like partner do it or something because it is just like, yeah, it's a lot of information. But what do we do with that information, right? Like, let me not eat a heavy meal right before bed because my mucus in my tongue is way more in the night before and I don't sleep as well. Like let me sip hot water before I go to bed or like sip, a nice tea before I go to bed instead of drinking a soda or, like drinking alcohol, like something like that. Like then like how does everything affect? And like your tongue is such a transitionary muscle that like gives us so much information quicker than other parts. So tongue scraping is just a really cleanly and like satisfying way to connect with yourself and remove undigested food and toxins from the system.
I'm really glad that just came up here at the end. Now I'm like, I'm gonna order, this is gonna remind me to order a tongue scraper like as soon as we get off. Because I'm literally just feeling the inside of my mouth right now, and I'm like, I would die to just scrape it off.
Yeah, yeah. And
And
it's
I have this like, I have this little inkling, um, and I haven't dug into it yet, but I feel like there's some kind of connection. I have like first day period pain. And I think that there's some kind of connection between like mucus and like bile.
mhm.
I'm not sure what it is yet. I need to do some digging and research, but that's been like a clue that has come up for me.
Yeah, mucus in your excretions or in your tongue and mouth area.
There's just something with like the mucus in my throat, and then I get this, not to get too deep into it, but I get this like I throw up like bile, and it's like I'm throwing up, but I don't have anything to throw up, and it's just like mucus and bile.
Yeah, Nastia would be really good for you too.
Is that the
Basil
nasal
oil.
oil?
Yeah. And you can just start with doing, it sounds like you have like more of a kapha imbalance, like excess mucus, and bile is related to excess water and earth. Um, and so, I mean, you can order like Banyan Botanicals has a really good super nausea. I really like that one. But if you want to just keep it at home, like you could do ghee or just sesame oil, organic, pure, and do it in the nose. And you just tilt your head back, drop a couple drops, inhale fully, and then I like to like move it around my nostrils.
Okay.
It just like helps like cleanse the brain and spinal cord and the nervous system in the head.
Okay,
So
maybe I'll try it. I feel like that's one that's has been a little intimidating to me, but maybe I'll try it.
yeah, it's like really, really beneficial to do it right now, especially with like the sicknesses that go around. It's your nose and your mouth are so connected to what you absorb, like we don't really intake anything from other places. Like we intake from the eyes and the ears, but we're not like breathing it in as much. So those are really good processes and like oil pulling as well extracts and pulls imbalance out of the mouth and yeah. So
Well, cool. Thank you for sharing those practices. It's always fun, and at least I find it interesting and fun to chat with different like holistic practitioners.
yeah.
Okay, do you want to share with everyone where they can connect with you if people want to find you?
Yeah, so I have an Instagram. It's Mac on Life, Mack well, I guess there's an underscore and then ON Life. And I'm currently working at an integrative wellness center called Ayumind. So you can also follow Ayumind on Instagram, AYUMIND. I work with a Ayurvedic doctor, a psychotherapist, who does integrations with psilocybin and ketamine as well as breath work. And yeah, we do lots of fun stuff at iMind. So if you're interested on that, you can go to our website at iMind.com. And yeah, I'd love to connect with you. And, I'm also have a website called Womb Embrace Wellness, but I haven't been as good about uploading things onto it. So a little less dated.
And which part of Colorado are you in?
I'm currently in Golden, so I'm close to Denver.
Okay.
Just a little further west of Denver, closer to the mountains, but d larger Denver area,
Okay.
Colorado. Yeah.
Cool. I'll put all of that in the show notes. Thank you so much for coming on. This was really sweet to connect with you. I don't think we've connected in like I don't even know how many years. It's been a long time.
I know. I love to see what you're doing and the work that you're doing and putting out there. So, thanks for doing all that you do and putting your voice out there. And I think it's really powerful to spread the wisdom that you're diving into. And so, thanks for
Thank
being here and creating this platform.
thank you. Same to you. I just want to ask you, is there any last nugget or is there anything still like sitting on your heart that you want to share?
Um, no, I mean, I think the biggest thing is one thing for women, I just want to say is when you walk that journey of entering this divine and innate wisdom that we have, it's a journey. It's not an endpoint. And so being really tender with yourself and loving and just knowing that it's a beautiful expression of the divine that we get to carry, and to just hold that tenderly and allow other women and people in your life to hold you tenderly as well, and knowing that you don't have to do everything alone and we're meant to be connected, um, to women, to men, to animals, to plants, to everything. And it will look different from everyone. So just cut that comparison out and find pleasure. What does pleasure look like for you? And a lot of answers will be within that pleasure. So remove that shame and pleasure yourself, ladies.
Perfect. It's a perfect note to end on.
Well, so happy to be here and to connect with you, Sydney, and thank you so much for having me today.
Yeah, thank you.